Love isn't a separate system your brain built just for romance. It's a hijack. The exact neural circuitry that lights up when a mother looks at her newborn is largely the same circuitry that activates when you fall for someone. Same reward pathways, same bonding chemistry, same regions. Evolution didn't invent a whole new system for romantic love. It just borrowed one that already existed, dressed it up, and pointed it at a different person. I think that explains a lot about why love feels the way it does, why it's disorienting, why it can make a grown adult act completely irrational, why losing it can feel like actual physical withdrawal. You're not being dramatic. You're running on hardware that was built to keep a parent chemically bonded to a helpless infant, now aimed at someone who texts you back inconsistently. Here's where it gets more specific though. Researchers who study this describe love less as one feeling and more as three overlapping systems, each with its own chemistry, each on its own timeline. Lust, which is mostly hormonal and fast. Attraction, which is the dopamine-driven obsession phase, the one where you can't eat, can't focus, replay a conversation 40 times. And attachment, which is slower, quieter, oxytocin-driven, the part that actually builds something durable. Three different systems frequently confused for one single feeling, which is probably why so many people mistake the second one for the whole thing. That mix-up cost me a few years of my life, if I'm honest. I confused intensity for depth for a long time. If someone consumed my thoughts, if I couldn't eat, if the whole thing felt like a low-grade fever, I assumed that meant it was real, meant it mattered, meant this was finally it. Calm relationships felt like settling by comparison. If my heart wasn't doing something dramatic, I figured the love wasn't either. I wanted that specific high, and I wanted it constantly. And I never really asked myself why calm felt like a downgrade instead of a sign of something more stable actually forming underneath. I think some part of me equated peace with boredom, like if it didn't hurt a little, it probably wasn't love, it was just convenience. So I kept chasing the intensity. I'd end things the moment the obsession phase leveled out, right when the fever broke, mistaking the natural chemical shift for the relationship going wrong. I did this more than once before I noticed the pattern, always leaving right around the same point. Always for a version of the same reason. It doesn't feel like it used to. What I actually got every time was the same short cycle on repeat. The high, the fixation, the inevitable leveling out, and then me, convinced something had died. Walking away from what was actually just the attraction system handing things off to the attachment system, which I never stuck around long enough to feel. It wasn't until I was in something that didn't have that same electric beginning, something that started calm and stayed calm, that I actually felt attachment fully formed for the first time, and it genuinely surprised me. It wasn't boring, it was steadier than anything I'd felt before, and somehow more consuming in a completely different register, a kind of care that didn't spike and crash. It just sat there, reliable, every single day, whether or not either of us said anything remarkable to each other that day. I want to know if you've ever left something right when it calmed down, mistaking that shift for it ending instead of it just changing shape. Not the relationship itself, just that specific moment. The second thing stopped feeling like a fever. Tell me, because I think almost everyone has done this once. Walked away from something at exactly the point it was becoming real, because it stopped feeling like the thing we were taught love was supposed to feel like. Here's what actually changed things for me. I stopped asking whether it felt like the movies, and started asking whether it felt safe enough to be boring in front of. Whether I could be quiet, unimpressive, half asleep on a random Tuesday, and still be looked at like I mattered. That's not a lesser version of love. If anything, it's the only version that was ever built to last, because the fever was never designed to. It's a starting mechanism, not the relationship itself. It gets you in the door. What happens after the quiet, steady, unglamorous part? That's not love cooling off. That's love actually beginning.